Well, hello, it's Bob Ross. Bob Ross's Enlightenment Intensives. Now, I was given the task of helping you figure out a number of things. Where are we going to find better students? Now, if you're in business, they tell you, well, you've got to build a really good sales funnel. And that will bring you a constant stream of clients. If you're a salesperson, when you get a potential client, you need to qualify your client or your prospect. Qualifying means, are they capable of buying? And are they going to buy? Now, one of my sales teachers said, if they show up at your business, they want to buy. So you can strike that qualification right off your list if they show up at your place of business. But, you know, in the business world, well, it's small potatoes if it's a dollar store. I mean, clearly it's not hard for people to beg for a few dollars to buy some gum. But if it's a large ticket item, you know, a automobile or house or something, well, you can waste an awful lot of time on your prospect and then, you know, only later to find out that the banks turned them down for loans. So, you know, a good real estate agent or estate agent over in the UK will say, well, look, the first thing you do before we go looking at houses is you march yourself down to your local banks and talk to the bank manglers and see which one will give you the best deal, pre-qualified. Then come back and see me and we'll have the numbers and it'll tell us how big a mortgage you have and put it together with your down payment, and we'll see what houses are, you know, suitable for you. And that saves a lot of running around with a prospect who, you know, oh, I love this house, I gotta have this house, and they can't come up with the financing, so you've wasted a whole lot of time. You don't get your commission check, which means that you can't make your own payments on your vehicle and house. But for an Enlightenment intensive, I need students that are despicable. Doesn't that seem odd? No, they're the most in need of enlightening, or the most despicable people. Oh, well, there's some people that take the low-hanging fruit. You know, someone who's I hate to say it, a religious person, but, you know, at least the religious person have, you know, they'll listen, perhaps. Although they have got a lot of conditioning, you know, the religious dogma and doctrine that's drilled into them at a young age that could be completely incorrect. And in which case, if they're loaded up with dogma and doctrine, they could be a very excellent client for me, for my Enlightenment intensives, because I might want to enlighten them, lighten their load of dogmas and doctrines. So, if you're someone who's hyper-religious and, you know, still feels like you need someone to help you become enlightened, you wouldn't be the first. You know, there's great stories down the ages of people who had a religious bent and would go to see a sage because they felt stuck. They felt like, I've studied for 25 years and I still don't feel like I'm there yet. So they would go and see a master sage, and the master sage would perhaps perplex them, or bring them to the point where they're starting their old little engine. Okay, so if you're one of these kind of people, then, you know, you might like a Bob Ross Enlightenment Intensive. And if you're despicable, am I going to convince you to come to an Enlightenment Intensive? Well, most despicable people want to have a front so that they can appear to be, you know, good. Good on the outside and hide their despicability on the inside. So, you mean, if you get an Enlightenment Intensive certificate from Bob Ross's school, you can hang that on your wall. I'm thinking of Al Pacino playing the devil in The Devil's Advocate, and he might have one of my certificates on his wall. And everyone knows that, you know, Al Pacino as an actor is going to have a lot of money, unless he blew it all. And certainly when he plays the character of the devil, everyone knows the devil is filthy rich. If you can't stand it when I go for a long period of time without speaking, you need to come to a Bob Ross Enlightenment Intensive. I have plenty of students who can't stand it when I stop talking. They start interrupting and they want to start throwing words up there, suggestions of what I should say next. Thank you, dear students. But if you're one of those people that can't stand the sound of silence, and if it's silent, they just have to say something, fill all the silence with words, you need to come to a Bob Ross Enlightenment Intensive. What are you going to get at a Bob Ross Enlightenment Intensive? Well, you got this wily old sage, me, who's been in the outback for so many years, by myself, nothing between my ears except the emptiness of my brain. Underwhelmed as you might be by my shitty Australian accent, when I try and be Bob Ross, I try and do a little bit of an Australian accent. It's much easier to do an accent if you've got a genuine article around you. So, I mean, if you've got a bunch of Brits at a British pub, and you're from the New World, and you go into that pub, it's very easy to lapse into, British accent. Same with Australian, but if it's been a long time since you've been around one of these accents, it's harder to maintain the front. It's the same way maintaining the front of goodness when you're despicable inside. So, you know, you need to go and freshen up your mask, so you can pretend to be something you're not. Well, come to me. I'll take your money. And perhaps... Oh shit, I've gone over 10 minutes. I try and keep it under 10 minutes, because then I can put it on Instagram television. I've gone over. Shit. What am I going to do with you? I'm Bob Ross for Bob Ross Enlightenment Intensives.